And right now, the biggest story in the game, of course, is Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani, we know, has a torn UCL. We also know he has undergone one Tommy John surgery, and now he might require a second. Now, after the news came out, I wrote a column basically saying, actually not basically, I came out and said it, that he is still a $500 million player in free agency. And I got the usual blowback from fans saying what an idiot I am. Well, I've covered the game now. This is my 37th year. I've been a national baseball writer. It's my 23rd year, and it's amazing to me how often I'm the dumbest guy in the room. But actually, I had a reason for writing what I did, and the reason I wrote it is simply a comparison with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, if you recall, was 31 years old, or entering his age 31 season, when he signed a 9-year, $360 million free agent contract with the Yankees. He had offers for more than $400 million from the San Diego Padres, maybe even from the Giants. So it stands to reason that Ohtani is the best player in the game right now, 2 years younger than Aaron Judge, could get that. And from an offensive standpoint, yeah, that alone could do it, knowing that you perhaps will get him as a pitcher as well. I don't know that anyone believes that he's going to need to give up pitching, though recovering from a second UCL injury is much more complicated than the first. Okay, that was the reason I wrote what I did, but the problem with anything that is written right now is that there is still so much we don't know. So I want to go through some questions right now, and some questions that have come up in the wake of the Ohtani injury, and hopefully provide, if not answers, at least some insight into what is going on. The first question, this one came up over the weekend. Why didn't Ohtani get imaging sooner? And the Angels GM, Perry Manassian, had a news conference basically explaining that Ohtani and his agent, Nez Balello of CAA, did not want to get imaging. They did not believe that there was an issue that warranted imaging. And if you go back and you look at the timeline, what happened? He had a finger issue that caused him to leave 3 consecutive starts in late June and early July. Then he had cramping that forced him out of consecutive games as a hitter in late July. And at that point, he cited fatigue, took some time off. It was understandable that he might be tired, considering that he's been pitching and hitting at an extremely high level the entire season. So, according to Manassian, imaging was offered to Ohtani, and the agent and Ohtani said, no, it's not warranted. We don't need it. And keep in mind, a player in his free agent year doesn't want an MRI in his file in most cases. They want to show a clean bill of health. So, Ohtani comes out and pitches last Wednesday, and of course leaves the game, and then it is revealed he has a torn UCL. People might ask, okay, how did this happen? Well, people could blame the WBC. He certainly had a big performance in that. You can blame the pitch clock. You can also blame the fact that he throws really hard and that pitchers get hurt. This is what happens. The suspicion or the belief is that he injured himself in that game because he came out in the first inning throwing 95. It's hard to throw 95 with a torn UCL. He injures himself and then, of course, continues playing. This is the next question. Why is he still playing? Well, as we know, and we've seen from Ohtani before, you cannot do any further damage to a UCL when you're hitting. So that's why he's still out there at this point. But my question is, well, why is he still out there when he should be figuring this out and making a decision on what he wants to do? He does have a chance to hit 50 home runs. We know that. He has a chance to sew up the MVP. We know that as well. And he can do some historic things still. And let's look at one of them. 50 homers and 20 stolen bases. Only 4 players in history have done that. Some pretty big names on this list. Ken Griffey Jr., 1998, 56 homers, 20 steals. Alex Rodriguez, 2007, 54 homers, 24 steals. Willie Mays, 1955, 51 homers, 24 steals. And Brady Anderson, I covered this season for the Baltimore Sun, 50 homers and 21 steals in 1996. Ohtani, right now, 44 homers, 19 steals with 31 games left. So he can get there. He's got enough plate appearances to qualify for the batting title. He's a factor in every Triple Crown category as well. So maybe he simply wants to push this out as long as he can and keep playing and postpone his decision. That's the part I really don't understand here. Why doesn't he simply make this call right now begin the rehabilitation process if he needs surgery, begin it even if he doesn't need surgery, do whatever he's going to do. We don't know exactly what the diagnosis is. We don't know where the tear is. We don't know necessarily how it compares to the first one, though it has been said and reported that it is in a different spot. So, what's going on here? Presumably, he's gathering more information. Maybe he's looking for alternatives. If you remember, his first Tommy John surgery, it was a rather long recovery. He had it October 1st, 2018. Didn't pitch again until July 2020. That's a good chunk of time, some 18 months or so. And when he came back, and admittedly that was the shortened season, so he couldn't come back before July 2020. When he came back, he pitched only 1 2/3 innings in 2 starts before they shut him down again with a forearm strain. So effectively, after his surgery in 2018, he did not pitch for 2 years. And we all know when you have a Tommy John revision, a second Tommy John surgery, the recovery process is more complicated. It can take longer. And if you read Evan Drellick's story in The Athletic last week, it was quite interesting to learn that doctors feel if you're going to come back as a pitcher, what you should do is not hit at all. Remember, he came back in 2019 as a hitter in May. Surgery October 2018, comes back as a hitter in May. Well, what the doctors were saying, and these are not guys who are Ohtani's personal doctors, but just people who were experts in the field, what they're saying is that if you really want to make this recovery go smoothly, the best way to do it is to not hit at all. Just focus entirely on your rehabilitation. So we are waiting to see what the diagnosis is. We are waiting to see what the prognosis is. Ohtani has yet to speak publicly. His agent has yet to speak publicly. Manassian has twice spoken publicly, but he's the GM of a guy who is going to become a free agent. And it's interesting, and this was pointed out to me last night, and it's worth mentioning. Anthony Rendon, much different player, much different situation, gets criticized and has been criticized lately for not talking, not giving any updates, doesn't want to talk. Ohtani never talks, except after starts, and he might not make another start all season or will not make another start all season. And yet, we accept that because he's Shohei Ohtani. Until he starts giving answers, we are not going to know anything more about where this is going. This guy is essentially the Sphinx of baseball. We never know what he's thinking. And it's his right entirely not to talk to the media and to keep his thoughts private. We don't know what his thoughts are regarding free agency. We don't know what his thoughts are regarding his injury. We don't know really what makes him tick. What is going to be his goal in free agency? What is going to be his goal going forward as a player? Does he perhaps consider now just hitting entirely? Does he still want to pitch? None of this is even remotely in our knowledge right now. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Obviously, we all want him back as soon as possible. We all want him back as the player he was. If he can't be that player, okay, he'll still be something special.